Hey everybody. Just wanted to initiate a discussion on the concept of overtraining for the kind of normal everyday person. And what I mean by that is there's a difference between an athlete who overtrains versus a regular person who maybe I'll call it over exercises. So yeah, let me actually make that distinction sort of on the fly. Let's talk about over exercising. Overtraining is it's a physiological sort of collection of basically symptoms. Maybe overtraining as a syndrome is more appropriate. So let's throw that over to the side because that's not the point. Let's talk about over exercising. So in my experience, I have worked with a number of people who you might consider workout basically addicts. And what that means is, exercise is used as a tool for sort of distraction and as a sort of placeholder for excess. Not to get into the psychology of why a person might be doing that, but the reality is that I have coached some people who have that tendency. And it doesn't just have to be sort of a dependency for the feel-good hormones or, a distraction. It can just be that somebody truly does just love fitness and they just love to move and they don't stop. But either way, the result can be the same. In terms of what happens when you go down that road. And I have dealt more with the kind of person who kind of uses exercise and abuses it to the point where they're no longer even getting any kind of result for themselves. They're just kind of spinning their wheels and trying to drive basically this machine, if you will, without any gas in the tank. So they drive on fumes, they might fill it up a little bit, and then they just keep going 100 miles an hour, which, as you probably know, like they never change their oil, maybe is a better analogy. I don't know anything about cars. So some of the sort of hallmark symptoms of somebody who is kind of a workout addict will be they never want to take a rest day. So it's like really impossible for them to just, at a minimum, like take a walk. And so we're not talking about somebody who can just, stay out of the gym. Not talking about somebody who can, who actually looks forward to their off days. We're talking about somebody who has to hit that kind of intensity idea every single day. So they're looking for that. They're chasing that high basically of, feeling destroyed, the endorphin feeling. So it's not, this is the kind of person who legitimately cannot take a rest day. And that doesn't mean like just to sit on your ass and do nothing, which sometimes is good for recovery and is required. But that's the first thing. There's no such thing as a rest day. And if they do see a rest day, they think it's the end of the world and they're going to lose everything that they have. They're going to get weaker, so on and so forth. Another sort of indicator of a workout addict is they have sort of an immature idea. And by immature, I mean sort of a halted understanding of how exercise works. So there's kind of, for lack of a term, there's an immaturity around how to periodize exercise and what the actual value is in taking little breaks from exercise. So I see that often as well. And whether it's some kind of, cognitive dissonance where they just, somewhere in the back of their mind, they know it's true that what they're doing is damaging and actually regressive, but the intent to feel those workout feelings is so strong that doesn't matter. So they'll kind of ignore it and just go on and continue in that way, chasing the workout. So that's another hallmark sort of thing that I've noticed over time with these people. Even somebody, who loves fitness so much that they end up doing fitness as a lifestyle, or rather as a job. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you have no concept of how to take your training seriously to progress it and respect load versus capacity. And now that gets divulged to other people who are going to end up making similar mistakes. This, to me, is probably one of the biggest issues as things stand. But that's not here or there on that. So those are the main sort of basically warning signs that I see. But then the final one is they're at the gym all the time. They're doing some kind of workout, whether it's a HIIT class or it's, running. That's another thing. Like if they're not training, they're just running their ass off just to keep chasing the high. They're doing all of this activity, but they're not getting better, not getting stronger, not getting faster, not making the body composition changes that they want. That to me is it brings all those things together where it's like, okay, there really does need to be some awareness that is brought into the training and the lifestyle and say, wait a minute, you're investing all this time, investing all this energy, but you're feeling continuously more tired. You're a little bit moody. You're not, making any gains that are appreciable at all. And so really what has to happen from that point, if this sounds like you, I would just challenge you to look at your training, perhaps for next week, and say to yourself, okay, I've got myself 7 days of workouts planned. Take 2 of those days and just scrap them and tell yourself the absolute most you're going to do on those 2 days is you're going to take a really easy walk. So no strenuous exercise of any kind. The most is aerobic sort of blood flow. So it doesn't have to be just a walk, but I would suggest walking because when you're on a rowing ergometer or on a bike, you will be tempted to go balls to the wall. Especially if you start listening to some music, you're like, all right, I'm already here, fuck it, let's just rip it. So I advise walking on the rest days over anything else. Don't let that walk turn into a 9-hour hike where then you're like, well, my workout didn't feel really great the next day. Well, it's like, no shit, dude. You just went through, you just climbed Mount Everest and called it a rest day. So that's my challenge. If you feel like you have this relationship with working out where you feel tired if you don't work out, you feel tired before you start working out, you feel like your day is not going to be good unless you work out, or if working out is your answer for literally everything that life throws at you, if that's the relationship you have with exercise, take a look at your training and put 2 days of non-negotiable rest, and then come back to me and tell me how it felt, because usually 9 times out of 10, unless I just cannot get through to somebody about this idea, they will come back and say, wow, why haven't I been utilizing rest days for the last 10 years? Well, at that point, the light bulb goes off and they see that because they've allowed room for their body to recover, for their joints and their tendons and their muscles to take a minute to relax, they're getting stronger. And this is the concept of what's called supercompensation. You have to train and then stop training and then train again. So your ability starts here, and then you rest, and then once you're done training for the day or whatever, your ability goes down a little bit because you just used all your energy up. And this is where you have to recover so that you come back here, which is a little bit higher than where you started right here. So that's the journey. But if you're always trying to stay here all the time with the same energy, you're just going to slowly go like this and slowly make your descent there as you continue to spin your wheels. That's what happens when you just try to drive a car 100 miles an hour forever. It's not going to work. So forgive the car analogies because I'm also not a car person. The point is, if you're somebody who's more or less addicted to working out and you've got those sort of symptoms that I kind of rattled off at the beginning and then towards the end there, put those rest days in your schedule. Let me know how that goes. All right.